Hi everyone, Danny Bader here, and welcome to another episode of Back to Life, our podcast where I interview people from all walks of life to hear their stories and the insight and wisdom they've gained on this wonderful journey called life. So enjoy the episode and be sure to pay attention to what inspires you to create more happiness and fulfillment in your life, because that's what we're here for, right? Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of our Back to Life podcast. I am Danny Bader, and you'll meet our guest Pat Croce here shortly. For those of you that don't know Pat Croce, you will certainly enjoy our conversation. For those of you that know Pat, you know him. Pat and I were just chatting before we started to go here. I first met Pat probably back in 1986 or 87. And I use that term met very loosely because I was driving up I-95, which is a highway that cuts through Philadelphia. And a car goes by me. I think Pat passed me instead. You were moving pretty fast back in those days, I imagine, right? So I look and I say, oh my gosh, it's Pat Croce. So I pull up beside him and we make eye contact, as drivers do. And I kind of give him the thumbs up and he looks over. He's like, yeah, like this. So I said, I got to tell my friends I saw Pat Croce. So I had the opportunity and the privilege to listen to Pat a few weeks ago at Westchester University, and we'll speak a little bit about that as well. And I got him afterwards. Certainly a lot of people wanted to chat with him, and I just said, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I can come meet you wherever, and we'll shoot for about a half hour, and Pat graciously did that. So thanks. I appreciate that.
My honor.
Yeah. So let's, for people that don't know you, let's go back to, you went to Westchester University, you grew up in Philadelphia, then you graduated from Pitt, right? Then he came into Philly. What year was that when you kind of got out of school, came into Philly on the sports scene? And tell us a little bit about that.
So I went to Westchester really to play football. I was a phys ed major, but I had exposure to physical therapy. My mom was a nurse, so I volunteered. I thought, well, this is pretty cool. It's fitness with a touch of medicine.
Yeah.
Pitt, Temple, or Penn were the only places in Pennsylvania. I wasn't going to get into Penn. And Pitt and Temple, I got into Pitt. And so, I had to take a year off because I needed more science courses. Got into Pitt for physical therapy. Also got a certification in athletic training. So I was at both worlds. I had the athletic training and the physical therapy. And it was like sheep herders and cattle farmers. They didn't really like each other, but it was great. So then I graduated in 77. And it wasn't until like 78, 79, I created the first sports medicine center in a hospital setting in the United States. I had this concept similar to what Temple Sports Medicine Center was in a college setting, but in a hospital. And it was new. Sports medicine, no one knew what the word meant. And then I started getting association with the Flyers in 80 and Sixers in 85. And it just blossomed, and the center went from one side. I left the hospital because they didn't want it to continue to grow. And from one center to 40 centers around the country in 11 states, had great people. Obviously, it's all about the people. And it was a mindset. It wasn't just physical. We worked the mind.
Yes.
Now I'm working on the spirits, but at the time it was mind and body.
Yes.
And then I sold the company to NovaCare in 93, fulfilled a 2-year employment contract. Enough. I wasn't the corporate kind of guy. And then I talked to Harold Katz. I'd been working with the Sixers for a decade as their physical conditioning coach, physical therapist.
Mm-hmm. And the Flyers, right?
And the Flyers was for longer. That was for like 13 years at the time. 14 years, whatever it was. But I contacted Harold Katz and I said, I'm interested in, the team was awful. Everyone hated Harold. It was the worst team in the league. And I said, sell me 10% of the team.
Right.
I said, Pat, when I sell, it'll be all or nothing. I didn't hear no. I just heard all or nothing.
All or nothing.
So I went around to my buddy Ron Rubin. I call him my Jewish godfather.
Yes.
He brought in Comcast, and then we did the deal. And I ran the team for 5 years from worst to first. And then after we lost in the finals to Kobe and Shaq in L.A.
2001, right?
Yeah, it was a great run. It was a great run. It was a great run.
So you won the first game out there. I remember those of us, because, growing up, I loved the Sixers, right? Played basketball in high school and college. So the first game in that 2001 finals, and we'll talk maybe a little bit about Allen Iverson, AI, and what you did with him and Coach Brown. But somebody said that you won the first game out there, and if you won the second, you were going to put a banner over the Hollywood sign or something?
I came back. So we lose the second game out there. Third game, I come back, and I climbed a giant water tower in Philadelphia, and we put a Go Sixers. And I think I climbed the Walt Whitman Bridge.
Yes, I think you did too.
So if we would, I guess that was the beginning. I'm sorry, that was the beginning of the playoffs. But nevertheless, I said, so we lose game 2 out there, we lose 3 and 4 home. But if we would have won game 5, we're back to LA. I said, if we won that game and go back to LA, I'm going to have a helicopter lower me down, and I'll rappel down and drop a Sixers banner over the H of Hollywood. I wouldn't care if they arrested me. The whole Philadelphia would have been wild.
Oh, you got that right. We probably would have went on to win that, I think. So then the Sixers transition after you'd done that. So you came from Philly. How many kids in your family?
4. I'm the oldest of 4 boys.
Right, middle class?
Or lower middle class.
Lower middle class,
my dad was
right.
a tough, hard worker.
Yep.
And then my mother became a nurse when we all were in school, so it was a dual income family.
Right, so tremendous focus, tremendous drive, all these successes in business. You get to 2001, you take the Sixers from worst to first, and part of that certainly was with Allen Iverson getting him more focused, more under control, talk a little bit about your relationship with him.
So for your audience, in 96, I won the lottery, and so the NBA lottery, and so we had the number 1 pick, and we used it to pick AI, Allen Iverson, Bubba Chuck. And that's why I have, if any hair, it's gray, because I was kind of reddish hair, but he turned it gray, and then I almost lost it. But I love him. I truly love him, and he's family. And so the relationship with him was more like, well, yeah, it was a president, player, older brother, younger brother, father, son. It was intense. It was all love-based, in the service of love. And that's something we can talk about this 30 minutes. Desire. Where does your desire come from? Is it in the service of love and truth, or is it in the service of ego? And I didn't know this then, but at that time, it was in the service of love and truth. I believe we were all together in this. And we needed Allen Iverson.
Oh, no question.
He was the sun where all the other stars circulate. We needed Larry Brown. Larry Brown was as high maintenance as Allen Iverson.
Oh, was he?
Oh, truly, truly. But he is a wonder kind of coaching.
Sure.
And so the two of them, they would have their differences, and I'd have to mediate. And at times be very strict with them, just like you would with anyone in your family. And like I did in the corner, hanging in the corner of Lansdowne. Buddies are ready to fight each other.
Sure.
No. Don't you settle it and
That's right.
deep down, unpeel that onion and
lead
see.
with love, right?
Yeah, we're all the same inside.
Yes.
And that's really what AI and Larry Brown, when they faced each other, was like them looking in the mirror. Just one happened to be from the land of bebop and the other one was from hip hop. And that's all. Once they realized that they truly had the same intentions.
Right.
In mind, it worked. Look at the 4th and 5th years where we sailed.
Yeah, brilliant. So for leaders in corporate America, let's say, or for moms and dads out there, or anybody in a parental role, when you see a child, and everybody has their potential, but when you see somebody with that potential in corporate America, in the world, in business or whatever, and they're not really getting there, what would you say are 1 or 2 things that are important?
You give them a long leash, but yank it.
Long leash and
yank it back.
Yeah.
You teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
And if you're the leader, they have to learn to be a follower. When the me becomes we, and you create the team to fulfill your vision, which is a deep intention,
yes, it
manifesting
is.
out.
Yes, it is.
You really have to have them as part of the team. So you have to share your vision, but they have to listen. And if they're not listening, there has to be repercussions. Either you trade them, you get them off, or you give them tools in which they can benefit your team.
What was the key breakthrough for Allen then? Where we had all this difficulty, I guess, difference of opinions, whatever you might call it, no judgment in here. But what was the thing that really took him? What did you do? What did you create for him where he said, shit, all right, let's go?
You know what? It's with most people, it's suffering that causes the awakening.
Yes.
It was so suffering that he wanted me to fire Larry Brown. Larry Brown wanted me to trade him. And that I said, no, there's no way. And I brought them together. The whole practice waited outside. Billy King was the general manager. He sat aside.
Yeah,
and I told them both that I wasn't going to trade. I wasn't going to fire. And that we were going to make this work. And that neither one of you really understand that you're the same. You, Allen Iverson, you can, I would call him Bubba Chuck. You can't be motherfucking him when he takes you off the court.
Yeah.
And Larry,
I'm
going to be very frank with you. he thinks you're the jail warden calling him, sit down.
Yeah.
And at this point, both of them were kind of like, whoa. And I'll tell you, Allen Iverson sat like this, and slowly but surely he was like this. And by the end of this meeting, he was up and hugged him. He changed. It was a remarkable transformation.
Yeah.
It
sure was.
Totally. The both of them were so loving deep down, but they were set in their ways. You got Coach Brown was a success his entire life. He won the NCAAs. This guy, wherever he went, he won. And he's used to pros being pros.
Right.
Not that he has to cater to them. Alan needed constant adjustments.
Right. Yeah.
Constant.
Good
constant
way to put it. But I think a key there too is, the deepest principle of human nature is to be appreciated. Right?
Totally.
So appreciation is
Well, I would
love.
even say in corporate America, I call it R&R, remuneration and recognition. It's not always just the raises.
Yeah,
It's that
that
pat
wears
on the
off,
back.
doesn't
It's
it?
the note, not the email, the note, how well someone does.
Yeah. Well, you talked about vision and that intention, and one of the jackrabbit principles is to develop vision. And in corporate, oftentimes, I'll walk people through a vision writing exercise.
Oh, that's good.
Where they'll go to the future and write it coming back. And their career is usually about the 5th or 6th paragraph down. Everything above that is spiritual and faith and family and health. So the realization is, wow, I'm predicting my future right now. And the 5th most important thing to me is my career. In many cases, sometimes for younger people, it's up top. But it's interesting to see that focus, as you said, it's what's that bigger picture? What's that perspective? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So talk to us about then the Sixers when you left there. What was that transition like for you?
I don't look back. Right. So it was...
I knew that was going to be your answer.
Yeah, and even now I'm more in the now than
Sure.
ever. But then I just believe you do your best, God takes care of the rest. And I did my best. And I was looking at transitioning into a larger role with Comcast Spectacor. It was kind of the keys were dangled to me by Ed Snyder, who was the majority partner of the Comcast, the Spectacor part, Comcast. Brian Roberts didn't want me to leave, nor did Ralph, his father. But I didn't want to stay as president. I had partial ownership of the entity, but I was done. Come on, let's go. Let's run everything. Flyers, Sixers, arenas, Comcast Sportsnet, because it was mentioned to me, succession.
Right.
But then it was pulled away, and so I said, nah. And people thought I wouldn't leave. Why?
Right.
I'm not identified by a job. I meant nothing. I enjoyed it while I did it. Next.
Yeah.
The problem with...
Nice. Not identified by a job.
Danny, the problem is I always was what's next. That was my biggest problem. In the last 5 years of the spiritual journey, I realized there is no next, but I was always looking toward the next. Always more, as the Dalai Lama says, more. The present moment was a means to an end. Now I realize it's the end into itself. This is the end. The happy ending is every moment of every day. Just you and I together right now is the unfolding of the universe perfectly for us.
Yeah, I agree.
But I was always looking. I wasn't really, as Ram Dass said, living life. I was one thought away from where all the action was. Always. I didn't know at the time, but what happens when you're in the mind, you have the opportunity for polarity, which is pain. Now, when you're not in the mind and you're in the present moment, the now, there is no polarity. There is no pain because you're inherently love, peace, and happiness fulfills this one moment. No matter what you do, I like to say, and you've heard me say this at that Westchester talk, how you do, in Zen, it's how you do anything is how you do everything. Right. And the how in the now creates the wow. So why not have wows all day long?
I like it.
Right? Yeah, that shit happens, right? Shit hits the fan.
It does.
But it's not a problem. It's just a situation you deal with.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Like everything you talk about in your vision, you just break it down and you create your to-do list, and each item on that to-do list becomes the means,
the now,
is the end,
present,
right now.
Yeah.
Full focus, full attention.
Yeah. It's kind of a dance between the vision, right, and being here, so executing on it.
But even the execution is now, and that doesn't mean that the vision, even you're in the now when you create the future vision.
Sure.
But once you create the vision and you break it down into time-sensitive goals and the strategies into tasks in your to-do list, then you come back to now. You don't just keep letting it weigh on you and worry about something in the future because whatever you're doing now becomes diluted.
Right. Right.
Just imagine that if every time, every one of you create a full how, everything you do in the moment, what's the outcome going to be?
Yeah.
How can it not be a success?
Yeah, that's it.
Success is in the now.
Right.
I was always thinking it was later.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's transition into that, but we'll follow through. So you leave the Sixers and you leave all that, and you go down to Florida, and you focus and you build a restaurant hospitality, very successful business, right? Who your son and son-in-law run now?
My son Michael and my son-in-law Jeff.
Great. So you went from go through the 70s, 80s, 90s. You're president of the Sixers. You're part owner. You get out of that. You go. You create this. What was the transition now to the Pat Croce that I have the gift of sitting with right now from go?
Danny, funny you ask. It was exactly 5 years ago. I turned 60 5 years ago. I just turned 65. And I was retiring at the end of 2014. 2014. And again, third time. First it was sports medicine, then it was sports.
You didn't do retirement too well, did you?
No, I did not. I didn't do vulnerability too well either because
maybe we'll chat about that as well.
Don't touch the hole in me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, don't touch that hole in me.
Yes.
And so I happened to be writing a book on failure way to success. It was similar to Not Norman Vincent Peale. Who wrote Think and Grow Rich?
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Right. He interviewed all those guys in 1948, Rockefellers and all those other ones. And I was going to do something similar. It was just another way of getting the ego massaged. It was nothing. And then funny, just last week I wrote to David Black. I said, alive at 65, David, and I got to thank you for that meeting 5 years ago where you told me that this is a piece of shit. That if you want to do something transformative. Now, I had no idea what he meant.
And David Black was your
agent.
Okay,
book
your agent. Yeah.
I had no idea.
So you
what
submitted
he meant.
a manuscript, and he said it's a piece of shit.
Just the what do you call it?
That's
teaser,
wonderful feedback
teaser.
to get as a writer.
Right in front of him.
Like, right,
you already did it. You already wrote it.
Yeah, the ego kicks in and it's like, piece of shit, I wrote that, man. This is
brilliant.
brilliant.
And it was just the table of contents in one chapter. No, you already wrote a motivational bestseller. What are you going to do? This is nothing. This is shit.
Right.
You have to write something like Tuesdays with Maury on steroids. And Mitch Albom is his client. And I love Mitch Albom. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa. It was one of those, what Zen masters call satoriya, like a moment of inspiration, of no mind, just pure still. Whoa. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how am I going to do something transformative? I'm already happy, healthy, and wealthy. Like what? I thought.
Sure.
And then it just happened that January of 2015, I read this article, a travel writer, Pico Iyer, who wrote a book on stillness and had a TED Talk on stillness, why that would interest me, because stillness to me was
unproductive,
oh my
right?
goodness, you couldn't say a better curse word to me than stillness. Like, what are you talking
See, you hear all that, corporate people? Stillness?
No, it was like, I didn't even know what it meant. Mindfulness, stillness, but the quote, and I'll repeat the quote for you because it had such an impact. It changed my whole life. It was the stimulus that changed my whole life. Most of our life occurs in our head. Memory, imagination, speculation, and interpretation. So if you want to change your life, you best begin by changing your mind. That was the part, Danny.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm thinking, it was like a self-inquiry question. Can you change your mind? I could change bodies. As a physical therapist trainer, I could take bodies, injured, make them good, good, make them great. I didn't get Mike Schmidt, Bobby Clark, Julius Erving. Come on, bring him on. Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
He wasn't the round and rebound then of mine.
You fix his golf swing, can you?
No.
Sorry, Charles.
No, I had nothing to do with that. Nothing. So, but you can change an opinion, but can you change your mind? And that brought me to his TED Talk on stillness, which led me to a TED Talk on mindfulness. I didn't know what the word meant, by Andy Podicombe, the former Buddhist monk who has Headspace. That's his app. Sure. That led me to one more TED Talk on happiness by Matthew Ricard. He's the Dalai Lama's interpreter. And I drug Diane to Bhutan, the small Himalayas, up to a monastery to be with him for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Guys.
What was that like?
It was wonderful.
3 weeks.
Just wonderful. Wonderful. Like, it's magical. He's like the there was ever Jesus on earth again, well, we all are, but if there was one who was without ego, that's him, Matthew Ricard. He was one of the brilliant men of the world in 26 at the Pasteur Institute, leaves everything to become a Tibetan monk. But nevertheless, those 3 TED Talks had an effect on me that I thought, I'll give this stillness a chance for 10 minutes. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, sitting still. And it wasn't working until I saw this book called The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama. And then I start realizing that all they're trying to do is have you not stop thinking, but allow the thoughts to come, see them, and let them go. Like someone coming in for coffee, give them the donuts right out the back door.
That's it.
But I didn't know that. And it took a while, and it took various techniques. I like Pema Chodron's technique for stillness is when you're thinking and you catch yourself thinking. That's the key. The voice in the head is talking. It's talking all the time. And if you're asking me what voice, that one. That's the voice.
Some people have 2 or 3 up there, right?
Oh, I call mine the Mad Irishman from Braveheart. I got the angry Italian from Godfather.
You've got them all.
Impatient Pat, and I got Seeking Patty, the young Patty who wants the recognition. So the voices come all the time, and I just laugh at them now. Leave me alone.
Life is lived between the ears, isn't it?
So, whoa. I moved from 18 inches from the head to the heart, so I just keep moving down.
Beautiful. How was it when you first started? Because that's the thing with people. They say, and in workshops too, I'll give them some science behind it and the impact on the brain and our emotions and everything else. And they'll go, I try it, but I can't do it. It doesn't work for me.
Well, that's why that's why it's not working, because they're trying.
Yeah.
Because you can't try. Trying is a thought. That's the mind stepping in. That's just a thought, and the thought is only as real as the thinking makes it real. No. All you have to do, I can have you meditate right now. Just take a deep breath in through your nose. Like a wave, raise it to the top, see the wave crust, and let the wave now out through your mouth, and let the wave come down, wash over your body, feel your feet on the ground.
Boom, you did it.
That was meditating.
You didn't try, you did it.
That's it.
I know.
You know that, but
know.
that's, that's the beauty of it. It used to be rags to riches. If Pat can do it, so can I. But now it's, if I can change from a intense I never knew I caused as much suffering as I did. Even just the angst, because I was just like a hurricane, go through a room and just keep going. And then there's someone has to clean up behind you. My wife of 42 years.
Yeah, God bless Diane, right?
Yeah. So, but that's it. Once I realized that the thoughts aren't true, the thoughts aren't you, just let them flow through. See them, recognize them, and I categorize them as, and I do this song every Sunday, so I have people, you should come and join in.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Via Zoom from 11 to 12:15. From all over Hollywood, they come in, and it's just, we talk about everything, from the voice in the head to, but if it's an enjoyable thought, enjoy it. If it's a thought about me, where I am the center of the narrative, get fucking rid of it. Let it go. Yeah. Step out of the movie.
Right.
As I was with a Zen master for a while, Master Alok, and he's 81, Chinese, and had trained with Osho for the last 15 years of Osho's living. You probably know Osho from that. I love his quote, "The mind is a beautiful servant, but a dangerous master."
Oh, yeah.
But Osho, the wild, wild, wild Kingdom, or whatever that documentary is, it's great, crazy. Yeah. But nevertheless, he, I don't know why I was going to talk about the Zen master. Oh, he's the one that told me, whatever confronts you, don't believe it. Shine your light on it. The light of awareness. Just be aware of it, but don't believe it. Don't believe anything we're saying. Nothing. They're just words. They're just pointers.
Right.
For the realization.
Right.
So we can say the word stillness, we can say the word meditation.
Mindfulness.
But it doesn't mean anything. I can tell you to, I can write the word wet on a piece of paper as much as I can, but that's not going to cure your thirst.
Exactly.
No, it's good. It's a pointer. So what Danny's given you is pointers to a realization, a realm where you don't have angst. You don't have worry. You don't have resentment, regret. And it starts, you realize that no one can act beyond the level of their consciousness at that time. And that's probably the greatest stimulus for me for forgiveness. When you realize, people, if their IQ was real low, you wouldn't let them do what they could do.
Right.
Or people have a spiritual IQ that's pretty low too.
Right.
They don't know. They think they are their thoughts.
Yeah.
Just look on television. These people think they are their thoughts.
Right. So what's the benefit of stillness then? I mean, certainly you and I have experienced it. What's the benefit of stillness for people that are, driving hard, trying to make some money, provide for their family, get the next promotion? What's the benefit? Because you got to do that, right?
No, you got to do. So let's take it back.
We're not saying go sit under a tree,
No,
quit your job.
no. Let me just take it back a step.
Yeah.
So
please
first,
do.
Stillness, when Danny's talking stillness, he's telling you to be aware. Be aware of the present moment. Just be aware and be aligned with the now. That's all we're saying in stillness. Mm-hmm. Be aligned with whatever unfolds right now. Be aware of it. You exist. You're alive. You're awake. You're aware. Just be aware.
Right.
What happens is the mind steps in and takes you out. But nevertheless, 1, be aware. 2, that's your primary purpose. Secondary purpose is to investigate within. Go within and find out what stokes your heart. What passions do you have? At work, not at work. At play, doesn't even matter. Go without and be open and curious to what unfolds. Mm-hmm. And that going in and going out, curiosity, openness, availability, and investigation elevates your vibrational frequency, and then you attract similar opportunities. So humor, acceptance, gratitude, service. You stay low and you just work and work and work toward the goal and get upset and get worried and anxious and stressed out. That's a low vibrational frequency. You emit that, you resonate back. That's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
And then you treat your family less likely than you would normally.
It's so true, but what would you say to somebody, and I'll be that somebody right now, Pat, that's like that woo-woo bullshit. I mean, I got to work hard and hit what I got to hit. There's so many people I come up to where they just dismiss it as that. So now here's somebody who's been very, very successful in the worldly sense, right? Material, money, all those kinds of things. What do you say to somebody who says, Pat, that sounds kind of weird energy vibration?
It does sound, because you're thinking about it.
There you go.
Don't think about it. Just be it. Be who you truly are. Don't be who you think you are. Because you'll get so many more gifts along the way, not just the end game. If you just keep your eyes on the prize, then the journey along the way can have its ups and downs. It can have pleasure, but it can have a lot of pain. And then what happens if it doesn't come to fruition? All along that way. Why not elevate your frequency, accept, and go hard at it.
Right.
But don't go hard at it with as if you're...
Everything depends on that.
Very well said. I was going to say the intensity is going to blow a hole in your stomach.
Yeah. We're playing the human game there.
Totally.
The human game,
No, I'm not saying don't go hard.
Oh, I know.
In Zen, they call it hasten quickly. I mean, hasten slowly. Hasten outside, but be still on the inside.
Be still, yeah.
And let me just say the third thing. So I said be aware and align with the now. Investigate in, be open and available out. And then thirdly, and this is to answer your question, invest your being in the doing. Whatever you're doing, whatever it is, however hard you work, invest your whole being in it. Really be in it. That how we talked about earlier in this podcast. Yeah. That's the secret to success.
Be there. Be present.
Totally be, because right there, that's success.
Yeah. And be vulnerable too. So I was educated by the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales, and Francis said, you just spoke about it almost, be who you are and be that well.
Oh, wow.
It's all over Salesianum High School down in Delaware.
I love him. So along my Zen path, there's a great St. Francis statue.
Oh, beautiful. So when you talk about that, be who you are, be there, be present, be vulnerable. In corporate America, a lot of times we try to hide all that, right? I got to be strong. I got to be together. I'm a leader. I can't. So what's your thoughts and advice to anybody that might be struggling with that?
First, be present, because you're elevating your frequency.
Yeah.
You're elevating the energy. The energy, we're all energy. And this is science proves this. Forget about the woo-woo spirituality.
Right.
We are all just energy with a lot of space. Mm-hmm. And the more space of awareness you can put in there, the more the energy has to go faster and faster to go across the same distance.
Right. So the energy then, let's get into this, and we could go a little bit longer maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the energy in our body, what do you call that? We call it soul, spirit. How do you define those words?
So this is in the realm of form. Okay, so spirit would not be in the realm of form. That would be the formless, awareness, consciousness, presence. That's the formless. That's the God in you.
Got it.
The God.
So you wouldn't call that spirit?
I would not call that spirit. I would
Okay.
call that chi. I would call that in the realm of form. In the realm of form, that's just pure. Energy is the manifestation of being. There you go. So it would be existence in its raw form, energy. In not being able to see it, touch it, feel it, or you could sense it, is being. The being that you are. Every one of you, every one of us, when we're talking, you're listening, is aware right now. And what's the commonality when you're aware? I. I is abbreviation for I am, or I am aware. When Moses asked God, who should I tell the sons of Israel sent me? Tell them I am sent you. Right. That I am is the same I am that we are.
Right.
And when you are I am first, that being, that aware being, and then you dive into whatever you're doing, hobby, work, and even if you don't like work and you're looking toward something else, do that your very best at a high frequency, and it will attract more opportunities.
Sure.
And
often that changes, right?
Totally.
Best
Not
way
often.
change.
I think all the time.
Yeah. I always say best way to change a situation is change yourself in it.
Totally. And how
And
change
that's what
it.
you.
And
That's
when you
what
change
you
it,
led Larry Brown and
totally
Alan to.
a high vibrational frequency
Sure.
based on love, not on ego.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of each other to fix it, and it wasn't that.
See, desire comes from two places.
Right.
Either two places. Everyone has a desire for happiness or from happiness.
Right.
From happiness is love, truth, intelligence. For happiness is all the desires we have every day, anyway.
Right.
And that's why you're telling people to do right now is just
Well, we're offering.
have
We're
the
not telling,
desire.
right? We're offering.
Oh no,
We're
I mean
offering.
saying, they can. I don't tell anyone to do anything.
Me either.
I'm telling, but it's not
Yeah.
ordering.
Yeah. Telling from love is.
Yeah,
is
that's
good.
it.
So you and I chatted a little bit, and you know that I had a near-death experience, and I'll often say to people, my heart, my lungs, my brain, I need those to make my body go, but I believe that when my body stopped, it was because that energy, that spirit, that soul, the I am, that's what left.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And that's what I remember coming back when I was joined, right? So we talk about consciousness. I remember in the book I talk about there was a doctor, a young doctor, at the first hospital I went to, and he wrote it up as LOC, loss of consciousness. And I'm there with my girlfriend, my wife now, who's a nurse, and I said, listen, I passed out drunk before. I've been knocked out by an elbow on the basketball court. This was not a loss of consciousness. So as I thought about that, and somebody asked me what it was, it took me, for me, it's a UOC. It's a union of consciousness. Whatever makes Danny Bader go, when it left, it was joined with its source. There's no freaking question about that. And it's not about where you go to church, where you don't go to church.
No.
And that's why I think we all have that in us, right? That energy. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Totally.
So that.
But you can't see. Once we go there, that awareness, that consciousness, that the total being, you can't think about it because it's not an objective experience.
Right.
It's the eternal subject. It's God's expression in you, as you, before we color it with this.
And it is a tremendous source of strength, right?
Oh, it's the only source.
When people are in struggle. And that's
the only source.
Yeah.
You're saying it. You're asking the question and you're giving the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
For whatever
you're going through. So it's a struggle in work. And, I went where it showed up for me. And stillness is one of the principles. And it's so powerful. After I had my accident, I went to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And I was in a dark, dark place, and I went down there with the intention of buying a hose and putting it in the tailpipe and going to sleep forever because I had had enough. I remember my mom said, why are you going there? It's closed up. It's desolate. Why don't you just go to Avalon or somewhere, because we had been down there. And I said, that's why I'm going, because it's quiet. And she didn't know what I was thinking. And I am convinced it was the stillness of the Outer Banks in October of 92 that let me hear something, but not with this, right? Here and here. That said, no, this is not the answer. Drive home, get through this.
You know what
No
also,
question
Danny,
there.
I think the universe gives us what we need, not what we want. It gives us what we need. And it needed you to suffer. to go all the way down. It sounds like the Eckhart Tolle story. Go all the way down to realize that
It does.
I'm willing to kill myself. I am. Who's the I am and who's myself?
Right.
That myself then disintegrates, and you came to that realization that, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so needed, especially with the young people now, coming out. It seems like they've lost their way. They don't know what to do. Social media makes everybody look so good. So I think it's hitting on the self-esteem.
Well, yeah, the
We see
check marks, the
addiction,
likes.
suicide rates are up.
Look at all the likes. They depend on their likes. I mean, that's ego. It's all ego. It has nothing to do about who they truly are.
So talk a minute about ego for all of us. Me at 50, almost 56, a 21-year-old kid getting out of college. What is ego?
Let's define ego first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah, go with
ego is, now thought's not bad. The identification with thought is ego. When you identify who I am with who I think I am, that's ego.
Right.
The ego loves to judge, blame, complain, criticize, compare, condemn. And it lives on conflict because it's separate.
Yeah.
It doesn't want anything to do with you and I as one. And when the only way you can counteract that ego is being in the now, because the mind can't think in the now. It needs time. It needs past or future. It can't be. You can only be now. You can feel now, but you can't think about now. Thought's always one blink later.
Right. So if I say I got to go to the bathroom, that's a thought now, but that's about the future.
Right.
I got to go to the bathroom. Right?
Well, and it even came after, like, you're thinking about going, but that wasn't the feeling of like.
Yeah, I don't have to go. I was just using that as an example.
When you felt I had to go, the thought came after that. You just feel the being of stillness is just feeling in the now, in the present moment. Not who I think I am. Forget about the coloring. Forget about the Pat Croce and Danny. No, forget about husbands, jobs. It's just you have to know it. You have to be it. You can't think about it. If you think about it, you missed it. Gone.
Yeah.
Stillness comes in just being. That's where the whole two words in Zen are just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah. So
Just
it's an
this.
intention.
It is an intention.
It's a practice.
Well, we say it's an intention, but don't be fooled, because we think it's our effort and vigilance that gets it, but really what's happened is God's, through grace, is reeling you in. So be open and available and curious and go with it. Go with this flow and say, whoa, what's Danny talking about? There's a reason why everyone's listening right now. There's a reason why people are waking up right now.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I believe, serendipity and all this stuff, coincidence. I say that coincidence, Einstein said coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous.
Yeah.
So let me just share how that played out. Here comes Sashi, Pat's dog. I wanted to get...
Oh, stop. You know what? Sachi is a Tibetan terrier. So Sachi...
We can get Sachi. Come here,
No.
Sachi.
Sachi is short for Sachitananda. So we're talking about it. The secret of happiness, peace, love. The secret. Sat is all Sanskrit words. So Sat is being. Chit is knowing. The knowing of your own being as it is right now. Not the becoming, but the knowing of your own being is Ananda. Bliss, happiness, peace. Sachitananda. Look it up. It's the oldest formula for happiness. Just know your own being. Sachitananda.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
That's Sachi.
So here's Pat. When we were talking about that, I thought I want to have Pat on the podcast. So I did a little bit of research. I sent some books and T-shirts down to Florida. I said, okay, great. A little note in there if you're in the Philly area, because I thought you were down in Florida. That was a Tuesday, maybe a month ago. Wednesday morning, the next morning, I'm on Facebook, and I see an ad for that Pat was going to be at Westchester University, which is 15 minutes away from my house.
Oh, you sent those before
I sent them the day before.
Oh, my goodness.
That's why I'm saying.
That's sick.
Right. And then I go, oh, Pat's going to be 20 minutes from my house. I got to go see him. So I go see him. I enjoy the hell out of it. Afterwards, everybody's lined up to chat a little bit. You have some commitments, and you graciously said, walk with me. And I gave you 30 seconds real quick. You gave me your cell phone number. And it's like a month later now, I'm sitting here at Meditation Mountain with Pat. So it's just, you trust, right? And as you said, I think that this world unfolds as I had to suffer,
Perfectly.
and you've had to suffer. And we've had to have this chat because I'm sure there's going to be at least one person out there.
Oh, no.
That goes,
many
man,
things
I'm
will
glad,
resonate with the people.
I'm glad I met Pat Croce.
No, and Danny, what you're doing is it takes
Not me,
courage.
they're going to say that.
But
Do
it takes
this,
courage for you to do this. It takes time, it takes commitment. And we don't know truly what unfolds within us, what our unique expressions can offer. All I'm saying is be curious.
Right.
Just be curious, because each and every one of you, everyone who's listening to this podcast, is creative. I don't care what anyone says. If the supreme divine creator created all of us as unique expressions of the one essence, how could we not be creative?
Right. And in image and likeness, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
But image and likeness meaning the image, don't believe that God or the Tao looks like this.
Right.
The first sentence of the Tao Te Ching, written 2,500
Sure.
years ago. The Tao that can be described is not the eternal Tao. If you think you know God and He's my God, then you're wrong. You're wrong.
Right,
That's
our
where all
God,
wars
our
are.
God might be better, right?
Or just
Yeah.
don't even say anything. Stillness and silence. Rumi says,
walk
silence
the
is the
gospel.
language of God. All else is a poor translation.
Wait, say that again?
Silence is the language of God. All else is a poor translation.
Yeah, yeah.
I said it earlier. Don't
Yeah.
believe us.
Yeah,
Just
no,
be
I like
silent.
it.
You
I always
said
say
be still.
it's in the absence of sound that you hear the most.
Totally.
That was for me in North Carolina,
Totally.
right, to hear it. So this is cool. So what are you up to now in life? Tell folks what you're up to a little bit.
You can't find me.
I had a hell of a hard time, but so thankful I did.
So this place we call Meditation Hill, and I got into Chinese calligraphy. So I didn't even know I could, and I can do Chinese calligraphy, and I got into woodworking, grandfathering.
Yes.
So here, I'm either out in the woods or in my workshop. So all the energy that I used in those 3 lives you described earlier is the same. People can call it retirement. It's just manifesting in a different way. And so
Of how you're being, right?
that's all. It's the same, but I get to do it with knowing my inherent true nature is peace, love, and happiness. So happiness meaning the presence of, not happy state of mind. It's a presence. Happiness is the absence of lack. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So with the absence of lack or the absence of discontent, that's peace. What better goal is that to be with no lack? Remember we talked about earlier, more,
Sure.
more.
Sure.
No, there's
Yeah.
no lack.
Yeah.
And people say, well, you already have it all.
Yeah.
Everyone has it.
Yeah.
Everyone, because we're all the same.
Right. They have to define all, right?
Yeah.
Have it all. We have it. So if people wanted to not get in touch with you, but kind of find out more about what you're up to.
Oh, well, the only thing
tell
I
us
do,
about
the
tell us
only
about
thing
that.
I do is Twitter.
Right.
So I post
Twitter, and then the Sunday thing, though.
Oh no, that's not open.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, that's not open.
Yeah, it's not open.
So the Sunday Twitter.
Maybe
Tell us
if
about
you
the Sunday
come
Twitter.
for the Sunday Sangha, then and you brought someone, that's a different story.
Okay.
But only people to the Sangha have been touched through me to others, because
Understood.
for people to come to the Sangha, I want them to already recognize the voice in their head. Otherwise, it would make no sense.
Sure.
It would make no sense. Certain people might turn this off already. If they didn't, then they're on the path.
Right on.
They're on the path to the path.
That's it.
But I tweet every day. I post a tweet every day. I'll read today's to you. Oh, you'll
That's
like
it.
this. This one's good because it's relative to what we talked about today. Are you ready?
Pat's tweet for today.
Here's a thought that frequently arises in me. How is this current thought, voice in my head, working out for me? I'll repeat that. How is this current thought, my voice in my head, working out for me? Easier to let go of it when you realize it isn't friendly, enjoyable, or in the service of love and intelligence. So that's so you can see.
Hold useful thoughts. Right?
Yesterday's was, there's no reality to if in life. No if this would happen or if that would have happened. What happens now is just happening and doesn't know or tolerate if. If is a subtle ego trip on the road to misery via memory or expectation, because it takes you out of the now. If, no. Fuck it.
Got it.
I don't say that on there.
No, that's okay.
For you, I will.
That's okay. We're not gonna. I don't think we'll cut into this. So let's wrap up. I have certainly enjoyed coming up here with you. Maybe we'll take a little walk outside after this. What would you offer people, 2 or 3 things, kind of bring our whole conversation together as they continue on this wonderful journey called life? Not perfect, certainly with its challenges, but what would you?
Well, no. I'll disagree there. And one of them will be, it is perfect. It is perfect. That's the first thing you have to realize, that how the universe unfolds for you is for you. It's perfect. It doesn't give a shit what you want. It gives you what you need. And if you're vulnerable and open and available and curious, it changes everything.
So it's not perfect.
It is perfect. And I always say,
perfectly imperfect.
Imperfect. Wabi-sabi is a Japanese term in art, to embrace the imperfections as perfections.
Oh, sure.
So it's the same in life.
Yeah,
I
cracks
say
and
this.
chips, they honor them.
Totally.
Yeah, they don't fix them.
Kintsugi. That's exactly.
That's
They
right.
put gold in the cracks. You're right.
Yeah,
Very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Very good.
I like
so
that.
I say this. You want me? I'll give you something that you can take home.
Sure.
The past served its purpose perfectly.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
one.
Yeah, you said
the
that.
The past served its purpose perfectly. So where you are right now with Pat and Danny is where you're supposed to be. Right now.
St. Teresa said that, right? Trust that you were right where God has intended you.
Beautiful.
You are right where you intended
I
to
love
be.
it.
Even with the suffering.
It doesn't matter. Suffering's a mental. Buddha said, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. You're going to have a toothache and bellyache and broken bones, but you don't have to mentally suffer.
Yeah, but you'll lose.
And it's hard.
You'll lose people, loved ones.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, you'll lose loved ones and everything. But then you embrace it. Embrace that sorrow. Embrace that sadness. Don't repress it. Don't suppress it.
Be with it.
Yeah, hug it. Be as tight with it, and just not enjoy it, but embrace it so tightly that it's the resistance that causes suffering. The resistance to what is. No, embrace what is. There you go. There's your
embrace.
You go with that. You go embracing what is, because it can't be otherwise. You are way ahead of the game.
Right. So as we wrap up, you take a few things away from Pat. What I took away is that last one. I think that the past has served itself perfectly, and I think what Pat makes a really good point for you to consider and experiment with, right? Just experiment with stillness and see how that shows up for you.
And let stillness be, if you want to see it manifest, instead of just quiet and I guess spacious, use the word acceptance. What's coming to you, just hands out, like the Blessed Mother, hands out, acceptance. And if you can't accept it, know that you can't accept it. Be aware that you can't accept it. And that awareness. And then if you can accept it, go to the next step. Enjoyable. And if you can enjoy it every once in a while, throw your enthusiasm into it and just kick it up a notch.
Right? Grow from it. Grow from it and evolve.
And watch that vibrational energy spread out to others around you.
Yeah, I got it. Well, listen, everybody, thank you for joining in, and I can't thank you enough, my man.
My pleasure.
God bless. Doing great
Namaste.
stuff. All right, namaste, everybody. The divine in you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Back to Life. Our conversation sure got me thinking about some things that I need to pay attention to in my life, and I trust the same occurred for you as well. So until next time, each day when you come back to life, be sure to always be inspired.